Welcome to BlackUSA.news morning show. I'm your host, William Honolulu Jr. Join us as we explore the news and opinions that impact our community. We break down how the major stories have a very personal, local, and racial impact. No topic is off limits, but even if the conversation gets rough, we're always going to keep it real. Greetings and salutations, all of my friends out here in internet land. I am William Honolulu Jr. I have the privilege, nay, the honor of serving as the host of the BlackUSA.news morning show. And today is Monday, February 14th, 2022. Hey, my God. Happy Black History Month. And y'all know what today is. Y'all know what today is. It is Valentine's Day, lesser known. It is also Frederick Douglass Day. As he was born in enslavement, he didn't actually know when he was his actual birthday, so he chose February 14th every year to celebrate his birthday. So that's Frederick Douglass Day. But more focused and everybody's attention, chocolates and flowers and stuff like that is on Valentine's Day, the day where we try to show our love to those that we care about. And hopefully you didn't wait until today to do it. And hopefully you have a little bit of Valentine's Day 365. But what we're going to talk about today, well, not but, and what we're going to talk about today is, what does healthy Black love look like? I'm sorry, I'm dropping stuff all over here today. I'm excited. Excited today because we're going to talk about Shannon battle. Like I've shared with you all in the past, my relationship history sometimes is a little rocky. Rocky. So I've made some significant errors in judgment as I have engaged the mating journey, and I like to, hey Shonda, happy Valentine's Day to you and good morning. I'd like to get through. I'd like to get some help thinking through things and figuring out, what does it mean to be healthy, Black, and in love, or hell, what does it mean to be healthy and love yourself and be Black? Well, luckily today is Mental Health Monday, and I don't have to figure this stuff out on my own, babies. I got Shannon Battle here today with me, the ICANLADY. She joins us every Monday for Mental Health Mondays. Hopefully, she will keep doing it because we have learned some incredible things working with Shannon, and I don't think today is going to be any different. So I am so excited about today, so excited about learning, so excited about sharing, so excited about the opportunity to love healthily. So we're gonna keep it moving and get there, because we always got to go through the first parts of the show and the housekeeping pieces. As always, a big shout out to the super producer Kyle Crazy Horse Morgan, who keeps us structured and keep us focused so that we can bring you all quality content on a regular basis. He got some stuff lined up for you guys. It's gonna be killer, y'all. We also got to thank our sponsors, Edible Arrangements. You don't know how I feel about that, but guess what happened? Y'all won't even guess what happened. Look what happened. Look what came to my house. Oh my God. Look what came to my house on Friday. You see that? I know you're looking at it and you jealous too. You know what's also in there? There are three. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Pineapple and white chocolate covered doves. Oh my God. This is what happened. Big shout out. And I love you to Brandy Perkov, because she hooked up the DoorDash. That joint came to me after the show on Friday. I'm sitting down there just enjoying myself, like doing my show notes and revising stuff. And I get a bing bing. Who is bing binging my door? So you all know I live by myself, so I get real nervous when my doors just bing bang by themselves. So I go to the door and it's like, you have brought me edible arrangements. My God. And then I saw the little car. It was ready. I was like, edible arrangements, and then sweet apple white chocolate doves. Okay, sorry. That was a bit much. I know. I went a little bit overboard, but you all have no idea how excited I've been all weekend. Like, what's really sad? Like, I'm like a little kid. I've been eating the fruit slowly so I can enjoy it all weekend. I got one of the pineapple chocolate doves left, y'all. And I got to be honest, it won't make it through today. Sorry for it, but it won't. All right, okay. Sorry. I get y'all know how I get. I didn't eat breakfast again this morning, so you know where I'm at. Murphy, Falcone, and Murphy, they have been doing the damn thing and supporting the needs of the Black community for years. If you find yourself in a situation on the wrong side of a civil situation, whether somebody has wronged you and you need to sue them, or um, you are being you are being sued, make sure that you all reach out to Murphy, Falcone, and Murphy. Judge Murphy has been empowering the Black community and protecting our rights since during my entire adult life. But if you find yourself in the middle of a criminal situation, you might want to give the warrior lawyer a call, J. Wonder Gordon. They don't call him the warrior lawyer because it rhymes. They call it because he fights for his client. He's one of those dudes that is cool. I can just go Google him. And make sure you give them a call because worst case scenario, they're not able to help you directly and can refer you to somebody who can. Best case scenario, they can change the entire trajectory of your life. We enjoy being able to stream Black USA News, the morning show, and all of our other programming on STEM City USA over there with Dr. Tyrone Taborn and his people. They do an amazing job. Vicky and the entire staff over there, they are phenomenal, and we love working with them. Be on the lookout. I know they're about to do some big stuff with the Black Engineer of the Year awards that are coming up this weekend. So whoop whoop. Make sure that you all pay attention and are ever present and know what's going on because you don't want to miss out, do you? Do you want to miss out? I don't think that's what you want to do. I got to be honest. I Am Black Wall Street, our newest sponsor. Donnie Glover, the founder of Be More News and BlackUSA.news, he has written a book called I Am Black Wall Street, and it takes a different take on the Black Wall Street. He wrote it during the 100th anniversary of the destruction of Black Wall Street, Tulsa, Oklahoma. But what he did is he took a different perspective on it. He recognized that those people in Tulsa, Oklahoma, that wasn't one of the places where slaves were dropped off. So how did they get here? So he did a really great job of walking back through the history of the people that got there. And it serves, honestly, as a pretty good blueprint on what we can do to move forward as a Black community now. My company, the Grinding Gang, we are always happy to help you take your business to the next level. We have free membership, and there's a lot of tools out there. There is so much information that you can come across, whether you're Googling or whatever. We help you figure out what to do with that information because it's rough out here running a business on your own, and we want to make it a little bit easier. Now, last but absolutely not least, y'all know how I feel about Darker Than Blue. I am looking forward to having an opportunity to maybe stop by there this weekend. I'm spending, well, not this weekend. This week I didn't get a chance to go this weekend. I may swing back by there later this week to get some happy hour type food. Hey, Michael, how's it going? Good morning to you too. All right, that was woo, 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 woo. I love our sponsors, especially the food ones. I got to be honest. I don't have that many legal problems that pop up from time to time, but I stay hungry. So I appreciate having great sponsors that I can celebrate and eat there as well. Remembering that on Friday, the show that we just had, we were talking with Shannon, Devonish Lead. It was a really, really great conversation about personal branding, what that means, and how we move forward with it as Black people, especially with the juxtaposition of who people assume us to be and who we actually are. And, it's important to be your authentic self, but also understand when that authentic self may not be what's necessary for you to take your professional career to the next level. Tomorrow, we have a wonderful opportunity. It went down too quickly. A wonderful opportunity to talk to Lindsay Teal. She is a financial planner, a business consultant. She used to be a banker, a business advisor as well. And we're going to talk to her about what kind of conversation should we be having when it comes to love and money. Because there are a lot of relationships. I mean, we'll talk a little bit more about this with Shannon today. There are a lot of relationships that I've seen that don't last because it's like, hey, I can't afford to be with you. Like, there's a certain lifestyle to which I have become accustomed, and you just not doing it right now. And that's the real thing. And so we are going to talk to Lindsay about how do we prepare for love and to be in a relationship, and how do we get our finances straight. As you all also know, we are doing the perfect pitch planning program. And so I'm making sure I got the commercial up here. I'm gonna tell you a little bit more about it now. Hi, my name is William Honolulu Jr.,
and I have the privilege of being the host of the BlackUSA.news morning show. BlackUSA.news has partnered with the DM Firm, The Grinding Gang, Be More News, and DM Global Marketing and PR Firm to bring you the Perfect Pitch Planning Program. The program will help business owners develop the skills to compete and present a detailed plan to open or grow a business. During the program, you will learn how to create an entrepreneurial mindset, how to clarify and communicate who your target customer is, how to design your business model to meet your customer's need, and how to create realistic financial projections. The first session will be held on February 19th from 12 noon to 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you register by February 10th, you will receive an additional $50 discount. If you use the promo code BlackUSA.news, you will receive an extra 10% off. If you are ready to take your business to the next level and save some money, act now before prices rise. This program is sponsored by the book I Am Black Wall Street by Donnie Glover, with a foreword by the Honorable William Billy Murphy Jr.
Yo, Black USA News. We do a lot to make sure that our audience members and our people have the resources necessary to be successful. That's just one more thing. Also, there are some free tickets. So for those of you all, you should have received the link in the email that you get from Black USA News. And if you haven't, please just make sure that you put some in the comment and I'll follow up with you. Or you can hit me up directly on any of the social media platforms I'm on, because I want to make sure you got what you need to be successful. So let's see what else is. Oh, yesterday was the Super Bowl. Didn't watch it. Sorry. Well, not sorry. I still have challenges with the NFL and their position on racial engagement. So that's my choice. But I did want to shout out Jesse Collins. Jesse Collins in the 2020 Super Bowl last year, 2021 Super Bowl, I'm sorry, last year. He was the first black person to executively produce a Super Bowl halftime show. So, we talk about Black history and sometimes we look backwards, but there's Black history being made every day. And a big shout out to Nicholas Johnson. Last year, 2021, he was Princeton's first Black valedictorian. So, we want to make sure that we are celebrating the Blackness and the Black excellence every day. So big shout out to the two of them. Today's conversation is about healthy Black love. I was doing some research and participation of our conversation today, and I came across a study out of NIH, or was published by NIH, says racial discrimination and relationship functioning among African Americans. That's the name of the study, and it was functioning among African American couples, and it was by Dr. Lavner, Barton, Bryant, and Beach out of the University of Georgia. What they were able to find is that, taking a look at some of the available data, they realized that there is a correlation between racial animus and racial discrimination experienced by Black people and how they show up in their relationships. So if you are in a situation where you're, and this applies, I'm sure, to most stress as well. But for African Americans, this is a very specific type of stress that we engage in. And so this article talks about the correlation between when we are stressed from racial discrimination, we show up in our relationships more aggressively. I have a friend who, her son acts out a lot around her, but not his father. Why? Because his father is mean and crazy. And so the son knows that if he behaves a certain way, that there will be extreme consequences, because all his father cares about is control. Well, when my friend, on the other hand, she cares about his development, his mental health. And so she actually ends up catching the flack on it. But that's not unusual about how we engage in relationships. Looking at additional research, found out that as African Americans, as a community, we marry later in life and don't stay married as long. But that's at the population level. One of the things that I've always said about statistics is that they are, they're only the aggregate of the individual decisions or the individual situations. So I want to talk to Shannon Battle today, the ICANLADY. Talk to her today to find out, like, how do we have healthy relationships? Or honestly, is that even possible for Black people in the American context? Because I'm gonna tell you what, America ain't been nice to us for quite a while. And so for me, I'm like, well, maybe is this just our lot in life? Hey, Shannon, how you doing today?
How you doing, my friend? Will I am.
I'm doing pretty well. So am I off about this whole racial thing? I mean, the whole relationship thing. Is it differently hard for Black people, or is it just challenging for everybody?
I think we're all off. But first, happy Valentine's Day to you, and I'm
Happy
glad
Valentine's Day to you too.
you were enlightened and appreciated on Friday with your edible arrangement. Hopefully, you are enjoying it, which you
So
are.
wonderful.
Your pineapples. But no, you had asked, and hello everyone that's listening. Relationships, when we talk about that, it's so complex and it is so compounding. And when you say, are you off? I think we all are off in a
Okay.
way when it comes to really understanding what we're asking. So let's just try to, look at it in terms of first, I know you talked about the study. But when we look at relationships, we have to look at it maybe in three sections. We have to look at our relationships with ourselves. We have to look
Mm,
at our relationship with others, and
hmm.
then our relationship with the world. And that's where discrimination falls into the study that you were reading and how we show up in our relationships as African American. And what was very disturbing was the information that you also shared saying that we get married later, but we don't stay together. And so it begs, us to ask the question, what type of marriage, how did we view marriage, when we were growing up? What was our expectations as we were watching other people develop in relationships? And how did it resemble things that reminded us that possibly it wasn't going to make it, it was going to fail, or we weren't going to be happy? So
Hmm.
when we look at relationships just traditionally in our homes, I remember personally my great grandfather just working long hours. Him and my grandmother were never intimate. I remember going across the street to the neighbors that used to help watch me, and they were older too. They slept in different bedrooms. So when we're looking at, okay, well, how does marriage look? For how does a healthy marriage look? We saw what providing looked like, but we didn't
Right.
see what connection looked like. And I think that is something that we really have to learn how to begin to express appropriately. And how do we connect with others instead of, treating them as though they're just an object, the object of my affection. And that's typically what happens. And men
Man.
will often say, well, I'm providing. It's the first thing. And when I'm doing couples counseling, that's what I hear a lot. I'm going to work and I'm paying the bills and she's out here spending money,
Right.
and so we think the argument is about finances when often we're just learning the argument is about the assumption of roles and responsibility. I don't, I'm thinking that I'm supposed to show up as this way, and that is what fulfills your need because this is what I saw growing up. And as long as I'm showing up and I'm providing as a man, you should not complain and you should be very happy. And then for the woman, the assumed role is, well, I'm taking care of home, I'm taking care of the kids, I'm meeting his needs sexually. I'm doing everything, that he wants, cooking his favorite meals, and it's still not good enough. But that is the assumption of what the role was supposed to be in order to qualify what this healthy relationship looks like. If-
Well, one of the things with that I think you hit on really fundamentally is the stories that we come to the relationship with in our head. And
Mhm.
when I did a show on co-parenting not too long ago, and I was upfront about it. Like, I came into the relationship because I had studied love, I had listened to all the songs, I had talked to my friends. There was consensus about what a happy, healthy relationship was and what it needed to look like. Oh, and by the way, when I was young, I burned through Harlequin romances. I was like, oh my God, this is going to be fun. And I was modeling what I wanted and my expectations on what I saw. I modeled it on my mother and my father, which, in growing up, and I love my mama to death, and we're gonna have a conversation because I'm gonna see her on Valentine's Day, and she might see the show before I get there. But her and my dad was a little dysfunctional. And I realized why as I've gotten older and I've been going through therapy. It's because of the stories that you could bring to the table about what is the stuff in your head, what you think should be good for a relationship. I had a friend of mine, well, not really a friend. I remember at one point I was dating this young lady and she was talking about marriage. And did I already tell you that my English isn't my first language? My first language is sarcasm, and I have a very strong condescending accent.
Yeah, I mean, I hear it when you over here talking about you changed her from a friend to a person you was in a relationship. So first thing, ding 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 in my mind was, why the heck wasn't she your friend? But yet you were in a relationship with
Well,
her.
because and again, that's the way my mind works. Because I wasn't talking about the friendship part, because the friendship part was great. That was part of the problem. It was great. So then it was like, you want to get married? Why should we get married though? What is better? Like, what will I get more of? So is it I love you right now? You love me right now. Our sex life is amazing. Is it going to be more amazing? Are you going to love me more? Are we going to be more stable? Because for me, I was like, you're asking me to make a change and have restrictions on my life. Why would I do that? And sometimes the answer is because I want more and I'm not going to give you this if you don't give me more. Cool.
So let's let that.
There's a lot to unpack here. This is why I'm glad you show up every month.
So let's unpack it this right way because I know you can keep going. So
that was so polite. Thank you for that. That was so polite.
While you were talking, I'm just, of course, questions in my mind. And what is your definition of marriage and why is marriage important to you? And for you, you said marriage is a restriction. And so when you look at what's important to you overall as a human being, as a man, freedom, it sounds like is a priority to you. And freedom in the context of, how that looks and shows up in work and marriage, it may be different, but it still shows.
Sadly for me, not the same. Sadly for me, not really. That's probably part of my issue as well, that business and personal look a lot alike. So,
and so I think, we begin to not really understand our ask, what it is that we really want. And then when we talk to couples, when I'm, helping my couples to really identify what their core needs are, a lot of them really don't know what it is that they think that they truly need to make them this viable, healthy person in a relationship with someone else until they have to sit in it for a little bit because they've always been, used to getting what they want, thinking they know what they want, and then still not having fulfilling outcomes. And you have to ask, well, how does this work for you? How is it showing, you're doing all these things. So but why are you still unhappy? Why are you still complaining? Why are you, all of these, why are you still? And so you're saying, okay, well, when it came to marriage, it was, it's restrictive. So then I would have to go back to ask you as a Black man, why is marriage restrictive?
Because it means that there are fewer things that I can. And actually, I think some of that is the expectation of what that role looks like. So as I was married, what was happening was that notwithstanding, difficult enough trying to work through things internally, especially when you don't realize that you are part of the problem, when you're trying to fix everybody else. But the other part about it, it was this idea and this feeling that there are social expectations, which means there are things that I can't do. All of a sudden, some of the jokes that I used to make weren't funny anymore. All of a sudden, as I was married, there were these larger social things that people, oh, you can't do that anymore. You can't go there anymore. You can't do this. So my expectations from marriage were always that we are always working to become a thing. And that was the story in my head, like this perfect family.
But you're not wrong for thinking that. So let me tell you, this is very normal. This is very normal. So just because you've jacked up relationships and, you keep jacking them up, it doesn't mean that just jack up, because this is just normal, what you just said. When we think about things, when we're going into something, think about it like even with church. A lot of people pull back from church. Why? Because as soon as you say, I'm saved and I get into it, what's the first thing? You got to stop this. You got to stop going to the club. You got to stop. You got to stop this. The restrictions come in, and they're so hard, and they're, and then they're so abrupt, and then when you remove something, it's like, what am I gonna do to feel it? And then you have to go through all that discomfort and then all that uncertainty. Then you really start questioning
Where
yourself.
have you been my whole life?
Yeah, so I just want you to know that, I'm just really trying to normalize, because I hate it when we say, as people, that we think we are so far off from others. We all have similar structure, issues. My issue may not be your issue, but we both have them. And then, it's just good that we can come to a place where, we can begin to understand why we think this way. Because if the
Mm.
person wasn't respectful and they felt like you mistreated them because you
Mhm.
did not do for them what they expected with their emotions, it doesn't
Mhm.
mean that you did it wrong. It just meant that, it wasn't clearly communicated. So now they're looking at you as though you're the problem. You take that mentality about self into other relationships and thinking, well, I'm not going to know what to do if this person has this type of issue because I failed at it before. But really, you just don't know how to make meaning of it to make it work for you. You have all the skills. You have
Mhm.
skills there. You just have to know how to
To
use
put
them
them
the
together.
right way. Yeah.
And I think that that's also one of the reasons. Hey, but this is Brandy. Brandy is responsible for the Edible Arrangement Show.
Oh,
So big
Brandy,
shout
you're
out to Brandy.
awesome.
Big shout out to Brandy. DoorDash. Ding dong. But sorry, I can't wait to go and eat some more of the last one because I've been saving the last one. You heard that part. I'm sorry.
Yes.
I got so off of love because of my love of pineapples and white chocolate. I forgot about healthy love. Okay. So as we are starting to look through, as we start to try to engage relationships, one of the things that I have found is that conversations tend to be very difficult because of some of the expectations that people have when they come to the table in a relationship. Like for me, and again, I knew what Mrs. Honeyblue was going to do because my mother had told me, and everybody I knew said that this is what married women did and this is how they felt, and if you did this for married women, except that I didn't realize that the woman I married had never talked to these other women I had talked to before. She had her own beliefs and her own ability to engage, and I stereotyped her. I was like, oh, you're a black woman and you're da da da. So this is how we're going to be. This is what our black family is going to look like. Blah, they skip and missing out on opportunities just to have meaningful conversations. Hell, I
Mhm.
didn't even know how to have those. So let's go back in time a little bit. Woo, 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 woo. All right, so now I am a 22-year-old getting ready.
Whippersnapper. No.
Yes, the level of hubris in me. I graduated. I know things, and I am a man. I have secured myself a wife and a family. So I am now a man, and so I come to you, ICANLADY. I come to you to find out how far to make my family whole.
Mhm.
What would you do? Probably first to stop talking in that voice, I'm guessing, but after that, then what?
I would just, just have you keep talking. I'd be like, well, what does family mean to you? I have to find out those things. I never come
Okay.
with, suggestions for people because, as I explained, I did a podcast a couple weeks ago. Every family has their own culture. You
Mm-hmm.
have your own language. The way you communicate is going to be different from how I do it in my house, which
Mm-hmm.
is why a lot of marriages fail, because I feel like if my marriage doesn't look like what I see on the pulpit with my pastor and first lady, then my marriage sucks. I feel like, my husband isn't close with God because he ain't up here hooping and hollering and speaking in tongues running around the church. So he don't hear from God. So I'm judging him for that. And I don't have the right stuff. I'm over here thinking that, because my kids, they nod off and fall asleep in church, that they ain't listening to the word, and they gonna be off in the pastor's kids. I'm modeling from something that doesn't fit my culture. When my husband and I, when we chose one another and we had children, we had to define what life will look like for the Battle household. And that was difficult
I'm
because
sorry, real quick. That is so cool. The battle household. Like that seems like some t-shirts y'all should make, but that's a separate thing. We'll talk about that on branding on the back end. It's okay.
okay,
Yeah, it
awesome.
just called me as like the battle household. I'm like, yeah, yeah. battle household.
Yeah, so because I didn't know what it looked like, because for me, I hated, the idea of marriage because of what I saw my mother go through. And then, addiction and drugs, and both my parents, they were on, had their addiction issues. And then my husband's mom had her addiction issues. So we come up in here,
Like,
we're
nah,
just,
we good.
yeah, it's like, no, we know what we're not gonna do. We ain't smoking
Right.
none of that stuff. That's what we know we not gonna do in this relationship. So when you when you came, if you would have came in at that young age, I just need to know what your meaning is, because we
Mm.
always have the assumption, just because I know that you black, that our blackness communicates on the same frequency, and it
What?
doesn't do that.
What?
We're raised in different areas. We have different experiences and different ideas. And it's funny because the things that you probably said you would never do at 21, you found yourself now
All of them.
doing them at 23. And that's just a 2 year, window what we're looking at. So it goes to finding out, okay, what is important for you?
Mm-hmm.
How do you understand it? And do you truly understand it? Do you need to dive more and, go a little bit deeper to find out what meaning is? And then, talking with your spouse, along the same. Because what I would talk to you about in 23 would be totally different from what I would talk to you about after you had a kid, after, you guys moved to another
Mm.
state, after you all, have gone through major life transitions. Because marriage in relation, anytime we're in a relationship, it's always developmental. That's why,
Oh, say that
people don't.
again. Say that again, girl. Go
it's
ahead. That might be the word for the day. It's all. Go say it again.
it's always developmental.
Yeah.
That's why a lot of us don't want to go back to either, when we go back to thinking about our high school reunions, because the
Mm.
only thing that you can relate on is what you did when you were in your youth, but
Right.
now you're an adult. So now you're trying to figure out what's the purpose in going, because it doesn't fit who I am now. And so when you're looking at, okay, what do we do to make this work? Where are you at? We got to look at, what are you all trying to do? What are your goals? What are your similarities? Because we always come to therapy because we think that we're so,
We're
we're so
broken.
opposite. But we're opposite. And too, it's like she don't get me, I don't get him, we're not getting each other. But there were similarities that drew you together, and there are similarities that are still keeping you together. So we
Mm-hmm.
look at, what's working well, and then we begin to make those even better. We make those so big that the things that the smaller problems that you're, allowing to crowd out from the things that are going well, we allow ourselves to go ahead and just put some light into that area, so it doesn't cripple you all from being able to work through the conflicts.
I think that is a really good point. And I think with that, it also goes into this idea of individually we have to get our shit together as us. Like one of the things that through therapy I realized, one of my biggest issues in relationships was that I thought I knew. So I was behaving like what I knew was the
Mm-hmm.
right answer, the right way,
Mm-hmm.
or those Harlequin romance books, and getting to the point where we come home every day and we're excited to see each other. None of that shit was real,
Mm-hmm.
but it was what I thought. I get and honest belief. And
Mm-hmm.
so didn't really have the opportunity to calibrate, kind of like you're talking about the relationship goals, when you were looking at everybody else's relationship to define yours.
Mm-hmm.
Now you're in like, well, we don't do this. We don't have. Did I tell you about the red flannel pajamas? My issue with those right now.
No.
Okay.
I don't know if I want to hear it. Can we say talk about it on the
Yeah, we
on
can,
the
we can, we
okay,
can, we
we
can,
can
we
talk
can, we can,
about, okay.
we can. Yeah. But you know what? I love the fact that we've been working together long enough that you know that is a legitimate question to ask. Thank you for that. This is what happens when you get people who get you. They're like, oh no, you wow, be careful. I need to make sure because Donnie. Oh, apparently I've already started cursing and everything. Okay, so we're off the rails right here. Um.
See?
So
And you only thought about red flannel pajamas, and look what happened.
So this last Christmas, I found myself getting angry at red flannel pajamas because everybody's Christmas card was them, familyed up in red. And it's like everybody went to Target to get them and they were all the same damn. And I know this isn't true. I know, but in my head, it was like red flannel, red flannel. And part of it also was like, I know some of y'all. And that picture does not reflect your life. And so that family, and one couple I know in particular, they had a huge argument on the way to the photo shoot. But what was happening to me is I realized that the red flannel pajamas, I wanted that picture. I wanted what that picture represented, what I imagined it felt like to be the red flannel pajama people again.
Mm-hmm.
But I
So
also had
like
to
with
pull
that
myself.
with that red flannel, there are people in there, and so that picture is going to represent something different to
Right,
everyone that's looking at that picture. And
right,
then, so when you were talking about the conflict they were having on the way to take the picture, maybe the kids were looking at the fact that we're finally going out to do something together. We're
right.
doing something that, where we all were able to get involved and we're all able to come together. Maybe the wife is thinking like, oh, why did I even waste this time? But I'm so happy that we are together and I
Yeah, no,
finally
it
get
wasn't
this
just so
picture
happy.
to be
No, no, I appreciate what you're saying, but I'm like, in this particular situation, it was not
Mhm.
that. Like
But I just,
they are happily
but
married.
see, because you know them personally. But
Yeah.
again, even though you know that situation, you're saying that picture doesn't reflect, what they're going through. But how can is it possible that that picture is reflecting of what they're trying to become, and that's the development of relationships. So we try to look at, where okay, what we're not doing well. They
Hmm.
showed up, so they did it right. And that's where when you come to therapy with me, that's where we begin to celebrate those small,
Hmm.
monument, outcomes, because we're always looking for the big thing. We're looking for this Huxtable relationship. We're looking for those books that you read. We're looking to see that, okay, well, as long as it's going at a star, at 5 stars, the majority of each day, then we're getting it and we're doing it right. But no one is talking to us about how do we dig in and how do we fight for this marriage when it's bad, when
When do you not? Because to your point about fighting, like I realized that there was an opportunity for me to fight to get my marriage like near the end of it. But I realized in retrospect, I didn't even know how to. I didn't
yeah.
even understand I didn't recognize the opportunity, but even more so, like I wouldn't even if I had, because I didn't realize I was the problem.
Yeah, so you know what? And I'm gonna just be honest when it comes
Mhm.
to marriage, and I tell couples up front, when you're coming to me, normally they're coming when it's over and they want,
Mm.
something immediate to happen to fix it. But I tell them that I'm in it, to win it. I never want to see, a marriage fail, not when there's an opportunity for it to succeed and people just
Right.
like you said just don't know how. So I'm very transparent up front, if I promote marriage and
Hmm.
that's me. So if you're over here, you trying to get a divorce, at least let me show you how to divorce the right way, where
Right.
it doesn't, because it's going to have a harmful effect on everything connected to you, your kids, your dog, your community, your families, all of that has to get divorced, not just you and the person. So
Right.
I have to be able to help work through that. But I really think that we need to begin to look at, why are we so afraid of being uncomfortable? Why do we always assume that something is over because we can't figure out the answer for it? If it's a
Oh,
problem, it
I
has
got
an
the answer for
answer.
that because I've been studying myself. Introspection. I can tell you why I do it.
Hmm.
Because I don't know. I don't know what's going on, and nobody ever told me in a relationship that it's okay not to know. Like when
Hmm.
somebody says, "Let me think," and I've heard my friends say this too. It's like when they ask their significant other, like, "Well, what are we doing?" And that person says, "I don't know." It is offensive. What do you
Hmm.
mean you don't know? Well, we don't know. Like,
Hmm.
and one of my friends, I had to bring her, created gave her an example that was kind of funny. I was like, "Yo, you are talking about him not being able to meet your needs, or as a husband, or he's not doing the things you want." There are a couple of issues. There was one other issue with that because that's what they knew about. Um, I mean, she knew who he was when they started. But one of the things I said was he is he is who he is, and why do you think he would ever be different though? Why do you think he knows what he's doing? Like in a situation I was in, there's like, well, what are we doing? I was like, I don't know. Why don't you tell me what you want to do? Because clearly you've been thinking about this. I have not. I was watching TV, minding my business. I get a text message that says, "Hey, what are we doing?" I don't know. And that idea tends to be offensive. What do you mean you don't know? And so how do we have those conversations and or even realize that you don't actually know the stuff that in my head that was Harlequin romance, and one, those were written not for reality.
Mm-hmm.
And I've, these movies that I watch, and even my family, it's like I've not seen these types of healthy relationships, so I have these stories in my head, and now I'm just rambling because I got a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah, but in your
What you got?
ramble and in your rambling, you're seeking. You really are on a conquest. You really want to get it right. I hear your messaging that you're not just opening up saying, but you really are trying to understand it. You're researching it. You're reading these books, and you're trying to use that to really as a guide on what this looks like. And unfortunately, I
Mm,
wish that you would have just had a couple in your hood, a couple that look like what would connect with you and click with you to say that's it, that's it,
okay. So
and
okay.
what it
All right. So, because you stepped in. Okay. So you on the cusp of 85? Because we don't keep it 100. We keep it 85. You at like 84.75. So I'm gonna say something. Okay. The reality is, I had a whole bunch of people in my life,
Mhm.
and a lot of the couples I had in my life. Yeah, that's why I was okay with the life I was living,
Okay.
because everybody else was doing it. Hell, a lot of people came to me to cover their tracks because I had a unique skill at anyway, crisis management, that type of thing. So
But
it
how did
wasn't.
that sit with you though?
Oh,
How did that sit with
the way
you?
you talk about normalizing, everything
Mhm.
was normal.
but
Everything
now
this
that but now that you've developed and you've
Yes,
learned, and hindsight is 2020,
yeah.
how does that land with you now, knowing what you know
Thank
now?
you. Um, the way that it feels now, it is strange. Like, I spend a lot of times like, yo, what the fuck was wrong with you? Like,
Yo, you gotta watch your mouth.
I did it again.
Yes.
Ooh, sorry. But this,
But
yeah,
go
because
ahead.
I'm quoting myself, so that is still my fault. My fault. My fault. My fault. It's not a, because I've been trying to look at the loopholes, or like what, how it's like, is this a my quote, or so? Yeah, no, you're right. That was me quoting myself. So I got on this. I think I'm up to like 70, $80 to say $80 today. Whatever. But like, this is important. But that, I was like, it was just, what is wrong with you? Like, in retrospect, in retrospect, I look back at some of my behavior and it's like, how did you even think that was okay? And what I realized is that I wasn't the only one doing it.
Mhm.
And then as I'm talking to some of my friends who were with me during that period of time, they were like, "Oh, I thought you just knew it was." Well, I, no, I thought it was cool. If I had known that some of the stuff was as damaging as it was, I wouldn't have done it. But I found that I had created a support system of enablers.
And then you have to ask yourself now, how does that affect your view of others? So, when it comes to people giving you advice and trying to talk to you about things that, you've experienced from the past, do you really trust others? Do
No,
you
I don't
trust?
trust. I trust
Yeah,
literally only two people on the planet:
yeah. So,
my
I mean,
my youngest son and
mhm.
my baby sister. No one else.
Yeah. Yeah, but it comes out in your conversation, and I'm
Yeah.
not saying that, to try to, put you on blast because we're just
Oh
talking
no,
about
because
the
I'll
things
tell
we
people
know.
that up front. Like, I don't trust any of you
Mhm.
humans because all of you all lied in order to manage society. Because I'll just say Santa Claus, Easter Bunny, and then just keep it pushing.
Yeah. So again, it goes back to say, it's unfortunate that you didn't get that example of what you were looking for, what you
Mhm.
were seeking, because had you found it, you would have held on to that because you know that
Right.
that was different from the other stuff. So a lot of times we can't articulate what it is that we know that we're wanting, but we
Mhm.
know that once we find it, that
Mm.
it connects. It somehow makes a connection to who we are internally, and that
Mhm.
goes back to how we were created and everything, because even though you've learned a lot of bad things, you were created in good. You were created for
Mhm.
a purpose. You were created to be loved. And so when you do things that are contrary to your natural creation, like, it's so ironic, no one has to tell the sun rise and set, but when it comes to us having to show up and having to love, having to really model what a great healthy human looks like, we got to read books. We got to find out who else knows how to do
Our,
it?
our society has nothing to do with being healthy mentally or emotionally. Actually, think about this. Most of the largest industries are designed off of poor health. You can't, if obesity wasn't an issue, personal trainers wouldn't be making so much money. Diet pills wouldn't be making so much money. You know what I mean? Like, honestly, the relationship books, real talk, women, what is it? Variety, Women's Day, Cosmo, especially, Cosmo's entire marketing strategy is that you're not pretty.
Yeah.
And so our school system is designed to be demoralized. Our
And you know
employment
what? And then
situations
like,
are designed to
and
be
with you saying
demoralized.
that, with okay, so with the social, with the system in itself, me as a Black woman, now I even had a struggle with that when it came to my hair with my husband. I thought, and I will still say to this day, you want a woman with long, flowy, straight hair. So I did the, perm thing. I do the wigs, and I like doing the wigs because, it's very easy to,
Mhm.
throw on. So when it comes to this, I'm like, this is not sexy in the bedroom, and but he loves it. And he's like, Shannon, he was like, when you come with your natural, he was like, he's like, it's just like a whole nother type woman that comes with it. And then, so I'm saying it's perception, because I was taught that, in order for you to look appealing and to be intimate, to get your husband's eye, it got to look a certain way, and the certain way wasn't me. And so that's when, like, all of that of what you have, so like he has to keep telling me,
Right.
oh, I love your hair.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? He has to keep, so I can
Because
change the messaging, so
he
I can
is
change
fighting
my
against
messaging.
decades of programming.
Yeah.
Like, this is really
Hmm.
behavioral modification, and I appreciate the fact that you say that, because it is one of the other challenges that I have had in relationships. Um, One of my friends calls it yucking my young. So it is. I call it white skirt, because there was a what was it? My line brother, his church was having this performance, and the dance ministry was on. The three women from the dance ministry, and they got on and they said, we've been trying to get this together, but Satan has been getting in the way. We're even supposed to all have on the same skirt today, and we don't. But you know what? We're still going to dance to the glory of God. Amen, amen. And they started the performance. It was about two, three songs, 6 to 9 minutes long, right? It took me 3 minutes to figure out which one had on the different skirt.
Oh
I,
wow, we didn't
I,
even notice.
and again, me being not even just heterosexual, but me being me, it would never even occur to me that anything would, but I missed part of their performance because I'm focusing in on the mistake they knew.
Hmm.
That's not even something that would have been part of my consciousness. And I think we do a lot of that in relationships as well, especially when we're trying to be open and intimate with someone. We say, well, this isn't
Intimacy is
nice on me.
tough. Yeah,
Hmm?
because of it's what someone else told you in the past. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Or some shit you just came up with in your own head.
Or something, some book we read when we looked at, like what you said, those other,
Yep.
magazines and stuff. I just wrote for an article for Romper magazine, and they were asking about, how do you talk to people who are, young people in relationships, and they got their sexual intimacy and everything, or she's had a kid, and how do
Hmm.
you respond to that? I said, I wish the women in the church would have told me about lubrication. Because I always thought that my husband, when he wanted it in the middle of the night, that I had to show up, and be all of this,
Yep.
just, superwoman in the bed and everything, when I'm
Yeah.
dead tired from dealing with kids and everything. They never told me about that. I found that out years later. And then afterwards, I was like, babe, you can get it whenever you want. Just pop up that lube.
Yeah. Go
And
grab the tube.
Right, and
Grab
do
the
what you
tube.
got to do, and I don't, like, morning breath or whatever. That's on you, because you trying to
If
miss it.
you
I
want
ain't putting
this,
nothing
if
on.
you
Yeah,
want all of this, you can
if
have it.
right, and if I, what I'm saying, because if it doesn't give me an opportunity to prepare, but it's something that you need as a man, I'm willing to meet you there. This is how
Mhm.
you develop in a
Right.
relationship. And then, so, you keep having conversations, coming back to, it makes it healthy when you can talk about the things that you don't like, or things that you want to try. And, a person may not always be open and willing to doing the different things that you like, but you have to then understand what that means to them. If I do this to you sexually, or I do this with you sexually, how will you see? Because everything goes back to the thinking,
What's going to happen?
How do you view me? What happens after this? What does this open up? So fears start coming into that because we don't understand and we don't know how to make meaning. And so since we can't meaning, we don't make connection, and we don't make connection, and then we wind up dividing. And since we're dividing, now we divorce.
And you are absolutely right. The stories that we have in our head, because and to your point about communication, it is the decision to try to work through. It is not just let me share with you how I feel. It is, this is how I feel. Now, what do we do together? And we might not have the answer right now, but let's make sure we keep the conversation going. One of the other things that I want to just as me, I would say as a Black man, but I can't speak for the rest of them. So, for those of you all who may end up having or have had sex with me or may end up having sex with me or somebody like me, the stuff in your head, that's you.
Yeah.
I gotta wash up a little. I mean, I like a marinade. Come on, let's be honest about it. But that's me. That might not be you. And the thing is that you might not like this star or the way this hangs, but that's why you don't gotta fuck yourself. I do that. So if you don't like it, close your eyes. Let me keep the light on. Because a lot of times what ends up happening is that you keep bringing up to me the white skirt. You keep bringing up, I don't like this.
Right.
Or, my hair doesn't look good. And I'm trying to grab it. I was like, but you know what? You're right. You haven't been to the hairdresser in a little bit. I had noticed that before. But now you're talking about like, ew, haven't I gained weight? I was enjoying hitting it, but like now you're right. It does jiggle a little bit more than it went in before. Okay, but you brought that up.
But then we think that we have to change it instead of talking about it, so the other person can be willing to see if they're willing to make adjustments with it. So like even that, on that sexual part of it, for women who experience different things with their body, and heck, it's a lot of men that experience those things as well too.
Absolutely.
So we have to figure out, okay, what do we do to make sure that we're still meeting each one another's needs, intimately, and sexually. And then sometimes we have to go from, like when we talk about sex, from just looking at penetration to looking at, okay, just really the energy and the intimacy of the closeness.
The whole thing.
How can you stimulate me and make me come off, without even touching me? And that's what I, will have to work on with couples oftentimes too, because that requires a different level of connection where you have to get into the mind. So going back to what you said some minutes ago about, when people are asking the question, why did you? And you're saying, well, I don't know. The reason why you don't know is because you've been conditioned to respond to certain things automatically based on an emotional response. And so you don't stop to think. And if you think about, just during the course of your day, what you're doing naturally, you've been conditioned to already perform in your day. So you don't have to really put a lot of brain power into it. So when it comes to us dealing with conflict and things that makes us uncomfortable, guess what I got to do now? I got to use brain muscles that I normally don't use. And so now when you were saying earlier, okay, well, I just didn't know what to do. That's because, you were just doing things that you were always conditioned to, instead of going through to try to say, okay, why am I doing this? And how is this actually processing? There's a process to a lot of things everything that we do, even to where, if we look at it with baking a cake, I don't care how good somebody can bake a cake and just throw ingredients in there and not measure. There's still a process to get that cake to turn out the way they want to. And that's the same in life. The outcomes that you're looking for in your life, there's a process. Do you understand your process?
All right, so I've gotten better at this whole show hosting thing. So I am recognizing that we only have 6 minutes now before we start a whole other ass conversation that we have to come back to again later. So I'm highlighting my professionalism for posterity on the record. So the last thing that I want to do, which hopefully this will be the last, but I know how we do, so who knows. The last thing is, what if I find myself in a relationship, and I know we always talk about when things start going wrong, get help or whatever, but like, what type of help should I get just in maintenance? Because like I gotta go get my car service every 3,000 miles or every 60,000 miles. what kind of relationship servicing should I be doing? Like, how should I be trying to figure out, is this working? How do we keep it working? Can it work better? Like, should it, because, I realize waiting, 16 years after you get married is probably a little late.
Might
I've
be a
learned,
little late.
I've learned that part, but see, I don't know when to start. I know that's late. So I'm figuring before 16 years. I'm going to guess that's the answer.
Well, I have something for you. I actually wrote an article years ago to the Wall Street Journal
Mm.
about doing marriage performance appraisals. At work, we do
Oh
performance
my God. Oh my
appraisals
God.
just to see how, we're doing, and
Uh-huh.
how we're, progressing, how we're meeting our goals and objectives, right?
Yeah.
So, we do them at work, and they're very effective because it has you to self-reflect. It allows you to get, positive feedback and everything, and then that way it allows you to be subjective instead of objective
Objective
instead
instead of
of
subjective. Yeah, yeah,
subjective.
yeah.
And so I developed a marriage performance appraisal for married couples. And you just check, and it's just a form of checking in, because what you learn is that what you like at 23, you don't like it at 30. But you don't know that, like, and then but you never say anything. And like you said, for 16 years, you never said, I don't like peanut butter anymore. And she keeps bringing you peanut butter cookies every day, thinking that that is, gonna, make you happy.
And
But
I
you
don't want to tell her because
don't
then
want to
she's
hurt
the
her feelings.
right. But these are
Hmm.
nasty, chocolate
Yeah,
chips. You
yeah,
don't even know
yeah.
me.
Yeah, so that's a way, that would be a way to check in.
Mhm.
Another thing I would say is definitely check in at least once a year with a therapist, somebody, who's not biased, who's, not involved in what's going on with you all, who can look at it, from both sides, and just be able to create conversations for you to see, how you guys can continue to build and strengthen the relationship. Because the fact is, you can do the date night, you can go out and you can have a great time, but when you're coming back to the same problems and they're still unresolved, that's not going to be enough. You got to
No.
learn how to, what we call, when I'm working with young people, is make a link, mindfully connect, act confident, keep a calm, gentle manner, express interest, ask for what you want, let them know that you got their point of view, include their feelings, negotiate, and keep your self-respect. So it's a process in learning how to do that, but it definitely helps in building connections with people.
This has been a wonderful conversation. I want to keep going. Um, One of the things that I want to remind people out there is that as you are starting to think about one of the reasons that you should really probably check in with a counselor, even if it's just kind of like a counselor or therapist, even if it's just for this maintenance type of deal, is because you don't know enough necessarily to even understand when you are wrong. It wasn't until after I got divorced that I realized how wrong I was. I was actually, real talk, if I'm gonna be honest with it, I thought the therapy was what was gonna happen is that the therapist was going to help her understand me. And once she understood what I want, then she'd be like, oh my God, that's it? Happiness is happening. And it's like, oh honey. And I got in there and it was just like, oh no, you realize that a lot of this is you. It's like, no, 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 I love love. And he was like, no, sir, you don't. You don't actually know what you're doing. And it was disorienting. But if it wasn't for him, because again, I had created an enabling circle. So, my friends were co-signing a lot of the stuff that I was doing. And so it was helpful to have somebody who didn't know, who
Right.
wasn't like, oh, I understand because of this, that, and third, because I've been shaping the story.
Yeah,
It,
and
it
you make
was
it so hard. You make it so hard to change the narrative. And so that's when, when you can, like, in us talking, we're not even doing therapy, but in just hearing you, if you sat in my session for about an hour, you'd come out a changed person, because you'd come out thinking, a lot differently.
right.
So that's where, it doesn't take a lot of time. We think because we've done it for so long, we've been conditioned to it. If you're willing to have an open mind to change your behavior, and someone, helps you meet you right where you are and shows you what the next sequential steps are, what your process is, you are going to have better outcomes.
Yeah. And honestly, that's one of that's the biggest thing at the end of the day, is to have the better outcomes.
Mhm.
The family is, in our society, is the anchor of a lot of other things. If
Yes.
you have a strong family, if you have a strong network at home, if you have a
Yes.
place that you can be safe and secure, it really transforms all of the things that are possible for you.
Absolutely. That's
And
why
if
I love my man. I love
not,
my man. 27 plus years later, he ain't going nowhere. And he told me I ain't going nowhere either. So guess what? We stuck together. We're gonna have to figure out how to make it work. Because we like to be happy. We like to do a lot of things, like to travel. We're gonna have
mhm,
these grandkids soon, you know what I'm saying? So we just want to make it work. We want to be a great example, not just for our kids, but people around us. But thank you for having me. And
absolutely.
remember, if you guys want to continue to engage, www.shannonbattle.com. I think I'm a fun person to get with. I think I'm
Oh,
one of the dopest therapists out here. So
yeah, I had to give you
before you call it quits on your relationship,
that.
call me. And
Thank
happy
you.
Valentine's Day. My husband is in Vegas. He's not here, but he left me flowers and candy, and he bought me a new car last week. So I'm just so happy and
Yay, you.
happy.
Yay, you. Uh, Thank you very much. If you all are looking for more information or support, make sure you hit the I Can Lady all over social media. Thank you very, very much, Shannon. You have a great one, and I'll
You
see. Will I see
too.
you next week?
Yeah, you'll see me next week.
Okay,
That's our last
good.
week.
Yeah, we need to have a conversation about that. I got a horse told me to have a conversation, which I forgot to have it. It's okay. I'm going
Okay.
to get better at this whole profession. It's going to be so awesome one day. It's going to be so awesome.
You're going to be phenomenal.
All right, Shannon. I'll talk to you soon.
All right. Take care.
Bye. Woo! Again, we did it. Didn't we do it? Didn't we do it? We came to the end of a show. That was, I'll be honest, that was a little emotional draining. I'm gonna have to, oh, you know what? This is okay. Because I have white chocolate covered pineapple stones at home. So it's going to be awesome. Thank you all so much for joining us on this conversation. It was amazing, and I am so grateful for Shannon to come through and really kind of help us navigate some of the spaces with mental and emotional health and love. Um, I love you guys. I love my job, and I am grateful to have you all. Let's see. Tomorrow we will be talking to Lindsay Peel about. We're going to take this conversation about romance and relationships a little bit further and talk about finances, how those can impact your love life. Well, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, thank you again for all of your help, work, and support. And thank you for listening. We will be Black tomorrow.